Awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you so much to everyone who is still joining us. We love you. Hi, everyone. I am Ariel. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Some of you might recognize me because I have been with the Mixed Space family for a while. I took a break and I'm back, and I'm so grateful to be back. A little bit about me. I handle PR and social media management on the Mixed Space team. I identify as mixed and biracial, Polish and Mexican, so I'm really happy to be here cooking tostones. I am an artist, activist, and theater maker that works with the Mixed Space, and I'm just so grateful to be here. Welcome to everyone. I do just want to say really quickly that in keeping with our mission to continue educating the mixed community and make our meetups available, we publish them to our YouTube page. So if you feel comfortable with your camera on, we welcome you to join us and accept that this is your acknowledgement that you are being filmed. For more information, I'm going to drop our official video sort of acknowledgement into the chat so you guys can take a look at that. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to DM any members of the Mixed Space team, private message us. Here, we will be checking the chat out. So welcome. And just, everyone feel free to continue dropping in the chat who's here for the first time, where everyone is tuning in from. And, feel free to rename yourself, of course, with your identity, pronouns, whatever you feel most comfortable with. So I'm going to hand it off to... Nope, not going to hand it off to anyone. We're going to do community agreements. That's what we're going to do. Sorry about that, everyone. Here we go. Okay. Sexy. Thank you, Lily. Okay. So everyone, these are kind of just ways in which we at the Mixed Space function as a community when we talk about mixed identity or anything like that. We lead our meetings by really trying to be engaged. So if anyone feels like they have a comment or a question, feel free to raise your hand. You can do that as a function through Zoom, and we have people monitoring our chat. So we would love for the audience to weigh in on anything that we say. We follow an oops, ouch function, which is really important sometimes when we talk about mixed identity. Saying ouch if someone says something that's hurtful to us, and saying oops and genuinely apologizing for ways in which our intention was felt in a way that we didn't intend. And we use I'm sexy or I'm sassy instead of I'm sorry. You guys just heard me say right now, say sorry, and that's just a tendency that I think everyone has. So in our group, we really try to say sorry intentionally and not just as a filler word. And when we're feeling anxious about something, and as a team, it's team building and we love it. So we say I'm sexy or I'm sassy instead of I'm sorry. And we have a move in and move out. So we love to share the space with people, and there are some people who are really great at engaging in conversation, and that conversation flows so naturally, but there are also others who are hesitant, sometimes more reserved and comment. So we encourage everyone to be conscious of when they're speaking, how long they're taking, and also just allow everyone in the community and in the space today to really feel like they can participate and contribute. And without that, I will pass it on to Peyton.
Hey, my name is Peyton. I also work here at the Mixed Space. You probably met me before. I think I've been at except for one of them, every one of our Zoom meetups. So number 5 is identifiers. Name your identifiers. We said put your pronouns in your name description, but also if somebody doesn't identify you the way that you want to be, please correct them and please give people the space to do that. Number 6 is mean what you say. We wouldn't ask to control everything everybody says here at the Mixed Space Meetup, and we wouldn't want to do that, but we ask you to think before you speak. Number 7 is confidentiality. We really want you to leave with lessons today, cooking lessons in particular, but if people share their personal stories, can you please stay here in the meetup? Number 9 is, oh, sorry, Lily, that's yours.
Oh, you're sexy. So 8, 9, and 10. Number 8 is disagree with the idea, not the person. So later, as we get into breakout rooms and as we're talking with our 2 amazing features today, opinions might differ. People might have really strong feelings about some of the information that might be shared or some of the general stories that might be shared. This is actually a space to have a really robust conversation and a constructive dialogue, but we want to avoid making personal attacks and focus on I statements. Number 9 is moments of growth. So as mixed space moderators see conflict, we consider that as an opportunity for shared growth. And we believe that, following the community guidelines allow all of us to grow together. And number 10 is if you like it, let us know. So obviously, we encourage you to snap or wave or just make yourself known when you hear something that resonates with you. Also, just at this time, I really love to make people aware of the Zoom reactions that allow you to kind of share hearts and claps, and you can even share your, change the skin tone of your reactions to really personalize it to how you want to represent yourself on Zoom. So that's it when it comes to our community agreements. Peyton, is there anything else you want to say about introducing yourself?
I don't think so. I think we're ready to just jump in.
Cool. So at every meetup, we hold a moment of silence before we start getting in. And oftentimes we like to kind of have a specific focus for this moment of silence. And actually this month we're honoring Ariel's grandmother. We're honoring matriarchs in general. We're honoring the women who have come before us, oftentimes the women who are in kitchens, women who have been teaching culture and sharing culture from generation to generation and sharing their recipes and sharing their food practices. So we're all collectively just going to take a moment to honor the women in our lives who have taught us how to cook and taught us how to live and practice our culture. And also an invitation to the larger mixed space community. If y'all feel called, put in the chat a name or anything that comes up that you want to honor in your moment of silence, so that we can just all hold space collectively for the larger group. I'm going to put myself on mute and breathe for a moment, and then we'll be right back. Okay. Also, something that I feel really passionately about is doing a land recognition. So I live in Germany actually right now, and the situation of land and who owns the land is not as politically charged as it is in the US. But my apartment in New York is on Lenape land, and I am taking this time to honor the land and honor the tribe and honor Indigenous people all around the world who have been here for thousands and thousands of years, whose food practices we have been sharing either consciously or unconsciously. And I'm also just going to take this moment to introduce myself. So my name is Lily Stiefel. I'm the CEO of The Mixed Space. I'm overjoyed to be here with you today for our December meetup, to be cooking with our incredible collaborators. I use she, her pronouns. I identify as Black and mixed. I'm a Leo. Like I said, I live in Germany right now. I'll add to the chat where my people are from more generally. And then we can get into introducing the speakers. So, oh my gosh, there is just not enough I can say about the amazing people that are here with us today for our speakers. But Kiana Estevez Maybe Kiana, you can raise your hand so people can find you and your screen will turn green. She's an Afro-Latina founder who's determined to create inclusive and empathetic solutions through food experiences. She created Aisle Mine, which is a social food movement empowering people to step outside of their comfort zones and equalizing cultural differences with community experience. Kiana dedicates much of her time to a multitude of initiatives utilizing food and beverage on the path to strengthening the diversity, equity, and inclusion movement. She finds purpose in being a resource for her audience and educating them on the cultural differences by spotlighting global cuisines as a means to change the ratio by experiencing food and community like never before. Kiana and her curls currently reside in Long Island with her mother, Kiomara, and their pet fish, Winston. And she's training for her first full marathon, reading and completing 1,500-piece puzzles. And then Chef Adrian, maybe you can raise your hand to make yourself known. As a diversity champion who has been cooking from a young age, he has learned the ability food has to bring people together and explore new cultures. He believes that food, like any art form, has the ability to open minds, spark exchanges of ideas, and build bonds. That's what food is all about. A little bit of this part from culture and a little bit of that from another part. Of all the pieces picked up from along the way from relationships, and a good recipe does more than provide a meal. It can tell you more about a person, a place, a legacy than words ever will if you let it. So I actually fell in love with our chef when I read his bio. I was like, this is an amazing person and I cannot wait to cook with him and have him and his recipes and his experience in my kitchen and vice versa. So at this point, I am just so excited to hand it over to Kiana and Chef Adrian and let them take us on this journey.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here. Peyton or Lily, if we could just pin Chef Adrian so all the viewers have a enhanced view of his kitchen and are not squinting for the next 50 minutes, that would be fantastic. I guess to share a little bit about me and just answer all these questions. I am 4 p.m. in New York. I identify as an Afro-Latina impact-driven CEO. I ran the full marathon. I forgot to update the ladies on that. I ran the full marathon and I actually got one of our main ingredients tattooed, which is the pineapple. Wait, hold on. I always get backwards. Okay, no. Wait. There you go. It just signals, again, my why of community, truly bringing people together, fostering this conscious space. And I am just grateful for the mixed space for welcoming us with open arms, for thinking outside of the box of, okay, everyone has Zoom fatigue. What do we actually do now? How can we have fun right now in what is a holiday season that no one has ever experienced before? So we are just grateful to kick this off. So an icebreaker that we have for you all, so we can learn a little bit more about you, is what is your favorite unusual food pairing? And the reason that we're starting with that question is because when some people even see tostones and plantains, they're like, what's that? That's different. That's weird. I've never seen that on a menu before. So we want to learn a little bit more about you and your background and what you like to eat. So Adrian, if you want to kick us off, and everyone else can write in the chat, what is your favorite unusual food pairing?
I love it. So, we've talked about this before, but mine is a timeless oddball classic of Ruffles potato chips, vanilla ice cream with hot fudge on it. So it's really that salty sweet, but it's kind of the extra version of salty sweet, if you will. But it's one of those snacks that if you know about it, you love it. And if you haven't discovered it yet, when you do, you will be amazed.
Beautiful. Ooh, I see oxtails, delicious. So for today's class, to give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough, it's going to be our pineapple guacamole first. Then we're going to shift to our plantains. And then we're going to finish with our delicious pineapple fajito. which we can easily turn into a mojito. And we will give tips on that as well. So Adrian, can you walk us through the ingredients today for those who are cooking for the first time, for those who may be watching this and then, cooking after? Show us what the hell are we buying at the supermarket?
All right, I got you. So before I do that, two things. One, I want to thank both you and the Mixed Space for being here today. And to really all of you who have joined us from all over the world. This is a dream come true and bigger than my wildest imagination. So I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. While I'm walking through the ingredients, if you haven't already, wash your hands. We always scrub in before we start class, so make sure you do that. But we're going to work from my right to left, and my awesome camera lady is with me, so she'll kind of flow across the ingredients with us. But starting with our tostones, we've got 2 plantains. I've got one here purely for demonstration purposes, so when we get into that, we can talk about the differences between what you see here. We've got some cooking oil. I've actually already got some in a skillet behind me ready to go. Got some regular table salt. And then I've got one of those preference ingredients, which is for me. You don't have to do this, but this is a little adobo seasoning mixed with some table salt. So when we get to the tostones, we'll talk about all of that. So when you go to the store and you're buying tostones or plantains to make tostones, you want to look for ones like this that are green, that are firm to the touch. That'll be perfect for what we're going to do. And then we'll talk about this other one when we come back to our tostones. Then for our guacamole, as you can see, everything here is as fresh as we could get it. So we've got 3 avocados, we've got a lime, we've got 2 shallots, we've got a poblano pepper, we've got a bunch of cilantro, our crushed pineapple, and then we've got some salt and some cumin. We're going to keep it super simple, but it's going to be packed with tons of flavor. Here's the cool part about this. If you're missing an ingredient or there's something you like in yours, you can totally add it. Everybody kind of tweaks an eye and says, well, why are we putting pineapple in guacamole? I can tell you it's not for the chunks. It's purely for the juice and the texture. So when we get into our guacamole here in just a minute, we'll explain it as we're going through the process. And then last but not least, our fojito. So we've got some really strong ginger ale here, some lime, some mint, and then some simple syrup. Mine's actually pineapple flavored because that's what I made the last time I made simple syrup. So it goes perfect with this cocktail. And I'll walk you through the process of how to make a simple syrup if you don't have any. We'll talk about alternatives to use for this class. It makes it a little bit easier because it's a mocktail. So we've already got a little sugar from the soda, so everything will still balance out really nicely. But those are all the things that you should have in close proximity. And I think we're ready to get started, Kiana.
Fantastic. And as we hop into the pineapple guac, this is just a great disclosure for anyone with dietary restrictions. This is fully vegan and gluten-free. So this recipe can be completely adapted to your taste buds. And as Adrian said, you can completely sub out the pineapple, add a different fruit, like if you're feeling risky. So kick it away, Adrian.
All right, so let's do it. We're going to start with our avocados. So you want the avocados to be as ripe as possible. I can tell you now, but when I squeeze them, 2 of these seem pretty ripe. One of them I wish was a little riper, but that's totally okay. But we're going to take the proper size knife. So I'm using a 6-inch chef's knife. Use your smallest knife. If you have to use a paring knife, because that's what you have better control over, then use a paring knife. But we're going to palm our avocado, and we're just going to follow the line right here from the stem. We're going to insert our knife. It goes in really easy, and we're literally going to follow that all the way around the avocado. Now, the nice part is that giant seed inside will tell you when you're hitting the middle of the avocado. So when you got it cut, we can just take our hands, twist opposite directions, and now we've got an open avocado. Now, here's what I see happen all the time. People grab a spoon and they start trying to jab that nut out. You don't need to do that. Get a really strong grip on your knife, line it up, and give it a good chop. That's how you know you got a good chop in there. So that seed is now attached to this knife. If I start twisting back and forth, that nut is eventually going to release and come out. Now, I've got a trash bag below me, but to get this off of your knife, do not pull from the sharp side of the blade. Put it over your trash can, take your knife and your index finger and push. This way you make sure you don't cut yourself. So go ahead and do that.
And
if you ever go ahead, Kiana.
You open up your avocado, it looks ripe as day. Before opening an avocado, how do you know if it's ripe?
So I like to squeeze mine, and actually I got one I didn't cut yet. I like to squeeze mine, and sometimes I just like to flick and see how much give and sound there is to it. When they're really ripe, they kind of thud, almost like a hollow sound. When they ripen, they're kind of soft. You can squeeze them with your hand a little bit. They're a little bit more malleable, and you know you got a pretty good ripe avocado there. Mm-hmm. So we'll do the same for our other two avocados. If you've ever done a class with us, if this is your first time, we are big on prepping everything before we start. It just makes it go faster. That was close. Man, this is what happens. This is why you have to pay attention to what you're doing, because this is what can happen. That seed will splinter, and then all of a sudden you might be in trouble. So near miss there, but we're good. And look what it did to the avocado. This is why you have to be careful. So it put a whole line in our avocado right there. So got to be careful with that. All right, we'll do our third one.
See, he could have used a small knife and then chopped the big.
All right, so we'll twist that out. Now this one, pretty clean. Got a pretty clean nut there. And I heard someone say it. They're absolutely right. I could have used a smaller knife, and I should have done that. And see, it comes out the exact same way. So to the person that said it, good call out. Even chefs sometimes have to be reminded to use the right equipment. So we've got our avocados prepared. We're going to go ahead and scoop these into our bowl. I had to clean off the little bit of avocado I got on my hand there. So we're just going to take a spoon. We're going to softly dig into the avocado, and we're just going to go all the way around. We want to get as much of the flesh as possible out of our avocado. Now, we were fortunate this time, the little stem piece stayed with the rest of the shell of the avocado. That's awesome. Now we don't have to worry about it. This one that we kind of sliced through, made it a little bit easier for us at the expense of almost losing part of my thumb. Go ahead and scoop that one out. And if you get one like this where there's a little bit of flesh, just come back, take your spoon, clear all that out there. And the nice part is you can use the shell to scrape it into the bowl. So we'll do this a few more times. Now, Kiana, I got a question for you. When you're making your guacamole, how do you smash your avocados? What do you use?
It's my healthy form of self-therapy. So I use my hands.
I like it.
I like chunks.
Okay, I like it. So we are going to keep chunks. But for some people, if you don't want to use your hands, there is usually a kitchen tool that you have that no one ever thinks to use for guacamole. And that is a potato masher. So that's what we're going to use, because we still want to keep chunks. We're not going to beat it to death here. We want our guacamole to stay nice and chunky. But potato masher works perfect on avocado too. So we'll get to that in just a second.
And avocados are so great. And outside of just like being that creamy and rich and fatty texture, speaking of me using my hands, they actually relieve symptoms of arthritis.
I did not know that. I always learn something when we do a class.
Yes, we incorporate them into a Dear Family Friends diet. And the effects are, it's like true magic. It shows you the magic of food and the magic that it has in nourishing you.
I never would have guessed in a million years that they are good for that. So yet again, you have taught me something new. All right. So I've got my potato masher. We've got our bowl here. And I am just going to start pushing down. Again, remember, I'm not trying to make mashed potatoes. I just want to break this into chunks in the easiest, most efficient way possible. All right. So we've got that there. And we're going. All right. So we've got some chunks there. Let's go ahead and pound this out. Now we got to work on our pepper. Now, a couple things with this pepper here. If you had the time, we're not going to do it for today's class, but if you wanted to, you could totally roast this right on your stove. If you have a gas top stove, you can put it right on top of the burner, and you literally want to scorch it until all of the skin is black. And once that happens, you can literally just run it under some water and peel the skin off. Gives your guacamole a nice roasted taste. So before we do that, I'm actually going to wash my hands off. Can't seem to get my, there we go. All right, so to cut our poblano pepper, we're gonna take our knife and we are going to cut just below where that stem attaches to the pepper. So we're gonna get rid of that. Now, if we look in here, the seeds are where the heat is. So as we zoom in on that, as we get close, we wanna pull that out. We don't want a ton of heat in our guacamole. It's not supposed to be hot. So let's pull that out. And if you're like me, I like to just give it a tap, get those seeds out, push them out of the way. We don't need this part, so we'll get rid of that as well. And now we've got a nice poblano pepper. Now you see these ridges in here. We're just gonna follow along and we're gonna cut our poblano right in half. We're gonna end up dicing this, but we wanna get it nice and open first. So let's do that. And I've got a puppy who's trying to see what we're cooking here as we go through here. So let's take that. Hey, little one, you can't say hi to class today. We're busy. All right, go on, get out of here. All right, so we've got our poblano pepper. I'm just gonna kind of press it down. If it wants to cooperate, there we go. Nice and flat. And then we're just going to make thin ribbons out of our poblano. And if you like bigger chunks, you can make your slices bigger.
And this is just a great check-in point. If you want to put a thumbs up on the screen, if you have any questions with avocados. I love how Marie Christine and Jane just even offered their sort of variation for how they open the avocado. So they hold the neck, hold it steady on the cutting board so she can whack it without endangering extremities.
It happens. It honestly, from time to time, it will get you. And I just noticed I've got a little scrape, so I am going to cover it up just to make sure we're safe and hygienic in our kitchen.
And
so let me
a delicious jalapeno. Ooh.
There we go. All right. Accidents can happen. It happens all the time. I'm going to wash my board off real quick.
And as you wash your board off, the question is, what are poblano peppers?
What are poblano peppers?
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of them as a much better green pepper, but they're honestly just a pepper that has a little bit of spice to it. They've got a hearty skin. You'll find them a lot in Mexican and Latin cuisines, but they just got a minimal sort of introductory amount of heat to them. Not too much that it's overpowering. So it's a great thing to add just a little tiny hint of spice to your guacamole.
And they are native, so.
There you go. All right, so we've got our peppers all lined up here. I'm gonna bunch them all together because we're going to do a rough chop into small little pieces. All right, so we'll get in there, keep it tight. Keep those fingers back. Awesome. All right. There we go. Got all those cut. If you see any big pieces like this one, just come back with your knife, trim it down. You want your pieces to be as uniform in size as possible. So we are good there. And we'll take all of this into our board, or into our bowl, I should say, excuse me. All right, so we're good there. Now let's work on our cilantro. Now the official recipe that I put together calls for 3/4 of a cup. Honestly, this is a preference. For some people, they love cilantro. They want to use it in everything. For others, they don't. Totally up to you. I'll let you determine how much cilantro you want to put in yours. I'm going to stick pretty close to our recipe. But one of the things that I want you to be mindful of is we want as few stems as possible. So I'm going to break those stems off. And if I see any stragglers, we'll try to get as many of these as we can. We want the leaves more so than the stems. So we'll get that out of there. All right. And then we're going to push them all together in a ball like this. We're going to grab our knife and we're going to use our other hand to grab the tip. And we're literally going to do a rocking motion across the cilantro. We're not applying tons of pressure here. We're not whacking it. We're just doing a rough chop. And then I'll change directions. And then we'll keep chopping here. And then at this point, I like to bring it back together again. And I like to repeat the process. So put it all back in a ball again. And then repeat the process.
Chef Adrian, where do you think guacamole first came from? It was not Chipotle.
Where do I think it is extra? Where do I think it first came from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a fantastic question. I would have to say, I would assume, and I could be wrong, that it would be Mexican in origin. Although I have a feeling you're going to tell me that that's not correct.
Near Central America.
Okay.
And, you know, of course, you can see it's been clearly assimilated into American culture. And
very much so.
In just like my research and my intrigue with wanting to understand the food migration component of this, it's actually one of the most consumed products on Super Bowl Sunday.
That I am not surprised about.
No idea. And you know, the Aztecs were the first to make guacamole back prior to the 16th century, which shows it's the simple things.
And I think that's the limit. Yeah, that's how we limit ourselves. Like when you say it, it's like, man, that makes perfect sense. But we don't ever think back that far. You know, even as much as we try to be conscious, like there's still that opportunity to be reminded that no, the history of food goes way further back than even we realize. All right. So our cilantro's in the bowl. Last thing we got to chop up is our 2 shallots. Now, we are going to, let's get the paper off, as much of the paper off as we can, off our shallots. Pitch that to the side there. One down. Oh, this one's going to be easy to peel. All right. Tricked me. Thought it was going to be easy to peel. There we go.
Adrian, as you're peeling, can you give us a little bit of a sort of verbal recap of everything that we've done so far in preparing our guacamole for anyone that, you know, is joining in a little bit late?
Yeah, absolutely. So far we have cut and smashed our avocados. Hopefully you did a better job of the chef and didn't nick yourself with a knife. We have also diced our poblano peppers. We talked about the possibility, if you're doing this for yourself and you have more time, about roasting the peppers prior to. We also diced or finely chopped our cilantro as well. So we've got that out of the way. And now you are coming in at the point where we are working on our shallots. And the one shallot I thought would be really easy to peel is proving super difficult, but that's okay. I've almost got it beat. And that is where we are right now. Perfect. There we go. All right. We are free. All right. So let's get this other one peeled. Get the paper off of it. And I'm going to switch out and use my small knife here. And I'm just going to draw a little slit down the side. Sometimes it makes it easier to peel. Dig my finger up under there. And now that skin is starting to come off. You may take a little bit of the first layer off as a casualty. That's completely okay. And keep peeling until you get all that silvery skin off and get down to the good flesh of the shallot. So optional tip, if you don't have shallots handy, you can totally use onion. I will be perfectly honest with you. I am not a fan of the texture of raw onion, nor of the flavor. So I tend to use shallots. It gives it, everybody thinks of shallots as being a part of the onion family. They're actually more closely related to garlic. But to me, it gives it a little more depth of flavor in your dish to use shallots. So just a food for thought there. So we've got our shallots peeled. We are going to cut them lengthwise down the middle, being sure to keep our root intact. We want to keep that intact. So let's cut both of these down the middle. And the reason that we want to keep that intact is because when you cut that root ball, that is actually what makes us cry, or part of the reason we cry when we cut onions, when we cut shallots. So by leaving that root intact, it will lessen, it will not fully eliminate, it will lessen some of the effect on your eyes with cutting your shallots. So let me move this little piece of paper out. So we've got 4 half shallots now that we need to dice. We're going to use our small knife, and we're going to start by making some horizontal cuts. So what I like to do is line the knife up with the edge of the board back here and just draw a line straight back. And then I come again and I do another line. And then when I get to this top piece here, I make sort of a diagonal line almost down to the stem. So that's going to help me when it comes time to chop these, that's going to help me know where to stop. So I'm going to make 4 vertical cuts in our shallot. And actually, this one's kind of small, so it's really just 3 cuts. And then using my knife, I'm just going to drive down. And now I've got evenly cut, perfectly diced shallots, already ready to go.
And
so let's repeat that process 3 more times.
I want to give everyone a moment, as anyone who's wiping away tears, and
yes.
Some amazing recommendations have come in through the chat. Sean, wearing contacts helps. Marie, Christine, and Jane double down on that suggestion. And also chopping near an open flame on your stovetop. And, something—
I haven't tried that one.
Yeah, something that I love about shallots, actually. They're like one of the oldest remedies for hair growth. You can place shallots in your shampoo because they're rich with sulfur. So it just provides a different sort of collagen that allows for hair growth and regrowth. So a little hack, as Adrian is chopping right now into the small pieces, you can squeeze the juice out of it and apply it to your scalp for just about 15 minutes, like a face mask. And then you rinse it off with a mild shampoo, and that helps with hair growth. So, little food for thought right there.
So you telling me if I squeeze this shallot on my head, I might not be bald no more? Is that what you're telling me?
Food mac.
I gotta ask. I'm too young to not have hair, but it just kind of happened that way.
If I will always believe in old remedies because they've worked for someone. No harm trying. Very well said. Very well said, Sean. And
All right,
Rich.
so I've got my 4 cut, and I'm going to keep working while the questions come in and while everyone is still chopping as well.
Oh, and Brittany brought up a great question. If there's any sort of hair bias texture with using the shallots, nope. Shallots are open to curls, to straight hair, potential baldness. I do not have the scientific confirmation on that, but yeah, any hair texture will do the trick.
So I gotta ask Kiana, when they introduced you, they said Kiana and her curls. Is that in your bio? Because that's how you should introduce yourself every time.
It is in my bio. It is my part of my.
I love it.
Yes, it is part of my identity, and one of the beautiful things about this space, it's like take it how you want. We're gonna just share, and this is my identity, and it's beautiful. So
I love it.
And then can
That's
you
awesome.
give us a quick repeat of the recipe right now that we're seeing the ingredients all together?
Yep. Let's do it right here in the bowl. So we've got our somewhat smashed avocado, because we're going to come back and mix all this together. We've got 2 shallots. We've got 3/4 cup or more or less, depending on your preference, of cilantro. And I just found a little piece of shallot skin in there. Let's get that out of there. All right. Then we've got our lime that we're going to go to next, our crushed pineapple, and then we've got some salt and some cumin. And that's where we're headed. So when you give me the green light, Kiana, we'll keep pressing ahead.
Green light.
Let's do it. All right. So next up is the lime. I've already got one that's pre-cut, hiding over here, you know, the magic of TV and all that good stuff. But before you cut your lime to squeeze it, we need the juice of half a lime. So place it on your counter, roll it out. That's going to help you get the most juice out of this lime. And I got a little lime oil on my counter. We'll wipe that away. And it's going to add some acidity and some vibrance to our guacamole. So I've got a lime that I already started using, so I'm going to cut that. And I'm just going to squeeze half a lime in. Doesn't matter where it goes. Try to squeeze your lime from up high so the juice covers the entire bowl. Even though we're going to mix this, that happens sometimes. There we go. And get as much juice out of that half a lime as you can. If little bits of flesh fall in, that's fine too. That's just going to be some great flavor in your guacamole. So we've got that. And then next, we're going to go to 3/4 cup of crushed pineapple. Now remember, this is not about flavor. We're not making the guacamole taste like pineapple. We're using the crushed pineapple for a texture component, and we're using the juice for some extra natural sweetness and acidity. So when you're buying crushed pineapple at the store, make sure you get the kind that is in 100% juice, not the kind that's in syrup, because that's going to make your dish way too sweet. I'm going to eyeball my 3/4 cup. You're totally fine to measure it out. That is completely your preference.
Adrian, can you walk us through sort of the inspiration for this pineapple guacamole?
Yeah, so honestly, I love pineapple. That's where it started, but I wanted to make guacamole for someone that I cared about, but I wanted to make it uniquely my own, give it a more, how can I say this? Give it a fresh take. And I am of the personal belief, you are entitled to your own opinion, and that is fine too. I am of the personal belief that tomatoes do not belong in guacamole. However, I know that many people do. But I wanted to do something different. So I actually had some crushed pineapple laying around. I'm like, I love crushed pineapple. It makes everything taste better. So I threw some crushed pineapple in there, and it got me to the texture that I love. It got me to the flavor profile that was really good. And it just made it a little more fun. So I decided to stick with it. And now this is really the only way I make guacamole.
Perfect. So you mentioned the fresh component to this. For those of us who are using a fresh pineapple, can we just cut it up and put it in chunks and add it all into our recipe?
If that's what you want to do, yes, totally. I would say go back and mash it up with your avocado so that it breaks down a little bit, unless you just like the pineapple chunks. But yeah, you could totally do that. It wouldn't hurt a thing. Remember, we're creating recipes that there's really no wrong way to go about it. So I would say have fun with it and do what you like.
Perfect. Next step. We are all here.
All right, let's do it. So we've squeezed in our lime. We've put in our pineapple. Next, we're going to add cumin. Now, if you do not like the smell or taste of cumin, only put in a half a teaspoon. If you love it like I do, go closer to a full teaspoon and sprinkle that around the dish. Because the only seasoning components we're going to use is that cumin and then kosher salt. And I've got a big pinch here. I'm actually going to do 2 big pinches of kosher salt. That's it. So at this point, what I typically do is I take a spoon and I sort of meld everything together. I'm not trying to break anything down just yet. I just want to get all of those flavors dancing together harmoniously, because you notice I still got some pretty big chunks of avocado in here. So once I know I got everything fairly well put together, then I'll come back with my masher and I will break this down to a consistency that I like. You can break this down as much or as little as you like. It's completely up to you. It is whatever your preference is. There is no right or wrong consistency for your guacamole. And I'm not pressing hard, but what I'm doing is trying to get to the edge of the bowl and bring everything together.
And to show how
bang that out there.
And Adrian, as you are giving us that beautiful zoom in, to really highlight on how connected the food cultures are. You know, cumin is so popular in Mexican, Indian, African, and Asian cuisine. And it's because it's native to Asia, Africa, and Europe. Yet people use it all over the world to flavor our meals, just like we're doing today.
Yeah, to me, it's an amazing seasoning. A little bit goes a long way, but it just has such amazing flavor. So you can see mine is still pretty chunky. It's perfect though. So what we're gonna do now, you can either loosely cover this and leave this on your counter, or you can toss it in your fridge. Whatever works best for you. We're gonna go ahead and set our guacamole off to the side for 2 reasons. One, because we wanna have this with our tostones and we want our tostones to be hot when we eat it. But 2, I am of the belief that when you smash all these ingredients together, they need to rest for a minute. That'll allow the lime juice, the pineapple juice to do their thing, to flavor the rest of this dish. You've broken down the cilantro, so it's giving off its oils, its flavors. Give this a minute to sit. You can totally taste it, but when we pull it out, we're going to taste it and we're going to see if it needs more salt. But you can totally taste it right now if you want to. But to me, it's better when you give it just a few minutes to rest in the fridge. So I'm going to do that now.
Yes, and those 2 big pinches of salt are perfect because it's completely to taste.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm going to clear out. Always make sure you're cleaning as you're cooking. We got that there. All right. And Kiana, when we're ready to go on to tostones, say the word.
I'm just looking on the screen, seeing where people are at. It looks like everyone is finalizing. So if you want to just bring all your ingredients to the screen and just say them out loud as well.
You got it. And actually, that'll give us a chance to talk about why I have 2 very different looking tostones on my station right now. So let me get out of there, get my knife out of there. All right, so we are making tostones, which requires plantains. So I'm gonna bend down here and get in a little closer. What we've got here is a really green, really firm plantain. And when I say green, I mean it's not as close to ripe. This is gonna have a firm flesh on the inside, which is what we want for what we're about to do now, which is to make twice fried tostones or crispy, crunchy plantains. The alternative is something called a Maduro. And that's from a plantain that looks more like this. If it was my mother, she would say, let it get blacker for a couple more days before she made Maduros with it. But this, just like a banana, because they're cousins, this is really ripe. Way more ripe than this green one back here. So this one has had time to produce more sugar. The flesh is softer. It's breaking down. You can literally squeeze it and you can see the indentation that you make into the flesh inside of it, of the rind. This is really soft. So we would still cook these. We would eat these. They would just be a whole lot sweeter. Maduros, the sweet kind, are actually really amazing in ice cream. If you haven't figured out, I love ice cream. You will by the end of this class. But Maduros, the sweet version of plantains, to me are fantastic in ice cream. But we're focusing on this big, unripe bad boy right here that's going to make some awesome, awesome, awesome fried tostones. And the process is going to be super simple and super easy. And we're going to be eating in no time flat. And you're going to ask yourself, how come you never made these before? So, Kiana, when you say go, we will get started.
And right before we hop into this, I think a great learning point is the difference in a glass mixing bowl versus a metal steel mixing bowl and how that would impact our guacamole and lime.
Yeah, so to me, it doesn't hurt to use lime in a stainless steel mixing bowl. For some people, they will tell you that there can be a reaction. There's always chemical reactions happening. But for some people, they would say, well, the chemical reaction is going to change the juice of the lime. It's going to change the properties. And that could be true on a molecular level. But for the amount of time that our guacamole is sitting in that dish, there's not going to be too much of a reaction. You can use a glass mixing bowl if you choose. It won't hurt a thing. I just prefer to use stainless steel because it's easier for cleanup and prep in the kitchen. If we were talking about preparing guacamole traditionally, then we'd have a giant mortar and pestle that we would be using to smash our avocado and to make our guacamole in. But, there's all these questions about, should I use stainless steel? Should I use glass? Honestly, when you're cooking at home, when you're cooking for yourself, it's really a personal preference.
Exactly. And that is the most beautiful thing with cooking. Like, it's science, like it's all an experiment. So we are now in our Plantains 101 section, and we are so excited. So kick it away. And thank you for that.
I love it. And yeah, absolutely. I love that question because so many times we put so many rules on cooking, it makes people afraid to cook. And I don't want that. So, and Kiana, you and I talked about it. I know you don't want that. We want people to enjoy cooking. So we try to eliminate as many of those rules as we can to make the process easier. So I'm glad that you asked that question.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Prep our plantain. Go for it. I'm sorry.
We need to let go of the rules. There are no rules.
So some rules are meant to be broken, and that's one of them. Totally. All right, so I'm going to cut my plantain. To do that, we got to peel this, and this is not always an easy peel, which is why you shouldn't have left this out. If you were following the instructions that were sent for class, these should be room temperature. If these are cold, it's really hard to peel an unripe plantain, so make sure these are room temperature. My family, we actually store these in our potato bin. So we keep them same place as the potatoes, and we just make sure we use them before they get completely ripe. So you'll notice we've got this sort of fat body, and then at the ends we have these very narrow stems. We're going to cut those stems off.
And
because they aren't going to make a good fry.
And for anyone who may have green bananas, potentially that is more of the route of caramelized bananas. And if you're still looking to join in on the experience and like, what can I make? Plantains are starch. It is the closest thing to a potato. So maybe if you have a potato at home, hell, even if you have a sweet potato, because that thick starchiness we can apply to this class and Adrian's steps along the way. So go Pardon my interruption.
No, you're fine. Because I was going to say, I think during the walkthrough, somebody attempted the banana to see how it would turn out. And it didn't. It turned out like a caramelized banana, which is amazing in its own right, but not what we're going for. So even though plantains are cousins with bananas, when you think about a food equivalent across culture, think like Kiana said, a potato, a sweet potato, even a cassava or yuca, depending on where your culture and what you call it. But this is a very starchy food, which is why we serve it with meals. It can also be a snack, but you'll see it served with meals lots of times. It's filling, and you don't need a lot to fill up because it's so starchy. So I'm going to take my plantain, and I'm actually going to use my smaller knife. And this ridge along the back, I'm just going to take my knife and sort of cut into that ridge. And you notice I'm not going very far. I don't want to cut into the flesh too much, but I'm going to cut as close as I can down the ridge, down the back of this plantain. And you see how it opens up rather nicely there. And Kiana, I think I got another good one. So I'm just going to start using my fingers to open my plantain peel up. And I've got a whole plantain that's removed. Now, if yours didn't come out in one piece, that is totally okay. It must just be the blessing of being with the mixed space, because when we did our walkthrough and now with class, this is the only time I've ever gotten a plantain out with the rind still in one piece. So it's happened twice now. So it must be because we teamed up with Mixed Space for this particular class. So I've got my plantain out. This is where everything about tostones is cultural. So the first time Kiana and I did this together, I cut the plantains the way my mom always cut them, which is in concentric, just rounds all the way down the plantain. And Kiana looked at me and said, "That looks like it comes from a restaurant. I like mine to be rough. You got to cut those on the bias." So in honor of my partner, we are going to cut these on the bias. So we're going to cut them slightly diagonal, and we're going to cut them somewhere between 3/4 and an inch thick a piece. So I'm going to take this one here. There we go. I'm going to take that one there.
And Ariel just had this pure happiness expression when she got a happy peel as well. Oh my goodness.
Yay.
Thought like that for a moment. That excitement and that purity in the kitchen, that is breathtaking. And Adrian, you mentioned that cooking with your mom, like that is a huge part of your family culture.
Definitely.
Was there ever a fear when replicating her recipes, when bringing that honor, and how you worked through that?
I still to this day take her food to have her taste and validate. Now, if you ask her, she will tell you that I surpassed her in the kitchen a long time ago. And yet, when I think about myself, I constantly seek out and crave her validation to know that, hey, is my food good enough for your standard? Because, we're talking about the woman who taught me how to cook. We're talking about the woman who literally put me in a kitchen and said, okay, you can learn this. It's almost like a sensei disciple type relationship, in that I still want her validation to know that what I put down on a plate, she loves and would be willing to eat. So yeah, absolutely. It's still important to me to this day, and I don't know a day will come that it won't be.
And we are ready to see your cutting board and move on to our next step.
Awesome. So our plantains are cut on the bias for my partner. Hopefully you're smiling. And now I'm going to go over to my stove. I'm using a cast iron skillet. You can use a regular skillet if you don't have cast iron, but I'm going to put this on medium heat. So on my dial, that's a 5. On your dial, it may say medium. You may have to gauge it, but essentially we're looking for medium heat for our tostones. So I'm going to take this and we're going to head over to the stove. I love cast iron. I love the way it cooks, especially for tostones. So it's just my preference and what I like to do. we'll let that oil heat up. And essentially what we're looking for is for this cooking oil to start to shimmer. Now you'll notice we don't have a ton of oil in this pan. This is maybe a quarter cup of oil, somewhere between a quarter cup and a third cup of oil. We're not deep frying. We're sort of skillet frying with a little extra oil. So you can see as the oil starts to heat up, we're looking for a shimmer to start to come across the oil. But we'll give that a second to warm up. Essentially, the trick is this. Don't put your hand in the oil. But if you put your hand over the pan and you feel heat, but it's not so much heat that you have to snatch your hand back, then you know your oil's warm. So right now, it's not exactly warm yet. So I'm going to give this a couple more minutes. Essentially, what I want, this fleshy part of your hand is the thick part of your hand. When that starts to feel hot and the rest of your hand is warm, then you know your oil is ready. So we'll give that another 10 seconds or so. We're getting there. We're getting close. And then we're going to place our tostones into the pan. So this process is going to go fairly quick. We're going to fry these on one side. We're going to fry these on one side. We're going to only fry them until the color of them is golden brown. I'll show you what that looks like. So I can't tell you how many minutes that will be because I don't know what skillet you're using. I don't know how your stove works. So this is all about color. So I'll show you the color that we're looking for. Once that happens, we're going to pull them. We're going to come back over to our station. We're going to smash them, and then we're going to fry them again. So that'll be a process that we'll go through together. All right, so our oil should be ready. So I'm going to place my tostones in there. And you see the bubbles starting to form around the tostones. So that means the oil is just hot enough. It's still working its way up, but it's good enough for us to go ahead and put these in. Go ahead and put that down. Now, in some cultures, you fry them on both sides. In some, you only fry them on one. It's totally okay. Whatever that preference is, you do it what works for you. But for our class, we're going to fry them on one side first, and then we'll come back and finish them on the other.
And Adrian, in the chat right now, there's just this excitement of sharing this for a date night, sharing this with roommates in the upcoming year. For someone going to be sitting down for the first time and sees tostones, what do tostones taste like?
Little golden circles of heaven. But really, no, it's got this sweet, creamy texture to them. They are starchy, but not starchy like a potato. So it's not like you're eating, I fried a potato, I have a hash brown or a French fry. The texture can sometimes resemble that of a French fry that's been double fried. But there's just this sweet, a hint of sweet, and then this creamy texture. And then when we put the salt and the seasoning on them, you're going to get this, nice salty finish to it. It's hard to describe. They honestly do just taste like little golden circles of heaven. So I can tell you when my mom would make these at home, we would literally be standing over her shoulder as they were coming out of the pan, burning our mouth, eating tostones. So that's what they taste like to me. They taste like that reminder of mom.
Beautifully said.
So I want to show this real quick, especially on some of our thicker ones. You'll notice you can see the color starting to change. You can see those fry marks, but this isn't golden enough. That's not where we want it yet. So we'll leave that back in. We want a nice golden brown color on these before we pull them out. And you can see they're rocking in the pan. You notice we've got some bubbles. Our oil is bubbling, but it's not like that rapid, angry boil like you're frying chicken or you're frying French fries or something like that. This is totally different. This is just a nice, soft first fry that we're doing on our tostones. We'll check the color on some of these. We're starting to get what we're looking for.
As we're checking color, plantains are found all over the Caribbean, Central America, and they haven't always been native to these areas. So it brings up that question, how did plantains get to the east side of the world? And they were actually indigenous to Southeast Asia. And it wasn't until, the slave trade routes were brought to Africa. And as the African-American slaves were transported to the Americas, it was an easy and affordable plant to grow if you had any type of agricultural background, which they all did, just due to their lifestyle. And that's how it became a native food, because it was easy, it was affordable, and it was the only thing they had. So it had to become their lifeline, their nutrition. And again, that starchy carb, it keeps you full for hours, which you will see after you eat this. Be expected for a fantastic nap or sleep for whoever is in Europe.
So I'm pulling these out because I want everybody to see that we've got that nice golden brown color on them. The last two, we probably could have left in a little longer, but that's fine. So we're going to go back to our station. I'm going to bring my cutting board back over. These need to cool for like 30 seconds before you start smashing them. So that's why I brought them back over here on the paper towel line sheet. We're going to reuse this paper towel line plate again in a second. But Kiana, this is always one of the fun part of making tostones. One, turn your heat down to low. We don't want our oil to get cold, but we also don't want to leave it on that medium heat. So turn your burner down to low and let that oil keep doing its thing. We'll turn it back up when it comes time to fry again. But Kiana, my favorite question, what do you use to smash your tostones? So how do you smash yours?
An aluminum cup is really easy for us. When washing the dishes so I can eat faster. And I like to clean the kitchen as I go. And Lily actually brought that up as a great reminder for just cooking along the way. It makes it a lot more enjoyable at the end when you see a delicious meal and a partially clean kitchen.
You know it. I love it. So I also have a cup, but I discovered this the last time I was able to travel to Tennessee. I discovered this cast iron. It's like a grill press for burgers or bacon or whatever. And I discovered that it smashes tostones really well. And it was only like $10. So I get to use it for everything, but it's amazing for smashing tostones. So I've got one on the board here. Doesn't require a lot of force. You are not trying to obliterate these. You're just going to put a weight on it, give it a gentle press. Might have to give it a little more. All right, there's those rough spots you were looking for, Kiana. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you might have to use a knife. There we go. To loosen it up. There we go. Let's get another one.
And for everyone who's and does not have Adrian's beautiful hack from Tennessee, Adam and Jasmine give a great rec for using an all-clad pan. You can use the wooden mallet as well.
Anything that's got some weight and heft to it. I remember my mom used to have this old wooden meat cleaver that she used only for smashing tostones. So whatever you got, as long as it's got some weight and some body to it, it'll work. All right, so we smashed that one. Let's get another one. Let's go with 5.
And I hear you bringing your mom up with your cooking and that beautiful relationship that has, been weaved through cooking. What is a dish or a lesson that always carries weight with you when you think of your mother?
So it's getting cold. So there, chicken and rice is always one because she makes it in the traditional Panamanian style, the chicken stewed in tomato sauce and vinegar and onions and garlic. But it's getting cold. So she makes a chicken and yuca soup that I will be honest, I don't even attempt to make. I just beg her to make for me. I know how to make it. But it's just something about when your mom makes it for you. So that is one. She can pretty much guarantee at some point I will be asking her if she can leave a container on the porch and do a porch drop for me so that we can stay safe, but I can still have some soup.
And as you are going to take us to our second fry, what are some variations in eating the plantain? We have tostones, we have mofongo, which is a staple dish to Puerto Rican and Dominican culture.
Yeah. You know, I've even seen people take this concept of tostones, and so they'll smash them, and then I've seen them put them in like a mini muffin pan and make a little cup and put chorizo and cheese and other sorts of things in them and turn them almost into like a one bite appetizer type deal. You heard me mention earlier, I put Maduros and vanilla ice cream from time to time. I don't really think there's a limit. I think the only limit is your imagination, because they go with pretty much anything that you can think of. You can leave them on the sweet side. I've seen people fry these and sprinkle them with cinnamon and brown sugar. I sprinkle mine with salt and adobo seasoning. So there's all kind of variations that you can go through with plantains that honestly are just the possibilities are endless, to use that cliche phrase. So while we're talking about this, I'm going to go back to the stove. I turned my heat back up to medium to give my oil a chance to warm back up. And I'm going to lay.
Do we need to add more oil to our pan, Chef Adrian?
No, we do not need to add more oil to our pan. In fact, the less oil, the better, because you can see they're already smashed. So this is actually going to cook fairly evenly on both sides of this plantain. Now, if your pan is dry, you may want to consider adding some more oil, but no, we don't really need to add any more oil here. I'm gonna grab my tongs and there we go. See if I can make a little space for this last one to hop in there. And then again, this is all about color. So we're gonna let these go. We're looking for color and firmness. If your oil is shallow, so you notice I had just enough oil that when we smashed them and put them back in the oil covered both sides of mine. It doesn't have to. That was just a lucky break. If you need to, when one side is golden, go ahead and flip it over and fry it on the other side for about 30 seconds, and that should take care of it. So for instance, we're getting close to a good color. If I wanted to, I could just do that and let it finish cooking. There's nothing wrong with that. It's still gonna turn out fine. In fact, just to make everybody feel more comfortable, we'll go ahead and flip them all. And get those all back in the pool. And we're just looking for a nice, pretty golden color on our plantain. That first fry was more about softening and cooking. This second fry is all about finishing the process and getting that golden color that you're used to seeing with tostones. Now, if my sister was making these, she would fry these super hard. They would be brown. And that's just the way that she prefers them, a little crispier, a little more brown. I like to let people know it's okay to cook them to the color that you desire. I like to flip mine a couple of times just to make sure that they're getting a nice even browning. But you can see this front one right here. That's got some really good color on that top layer. So when we take this out, matter of fact, I'm going to pull this and put this back on our plate. When we let that rest for a minute or so, we'll hit that with some salt in a second. These are all looking really, really good. Turn those two over real quick. Come on now.
So usually during our meetups, we have like a beginning part where we talk like we're doing now, and then we kind of move over and we go into breakout rooms and we discuss some of the some questions and some cultural things like in smaller groups. but we're still all cooking here together, and we have like a mocktail coming. And I personally, like, pulse check also for the rest of the community. I'm having like a really, really great time with everyone here and just on the chat and like watching Chef Adrian. But I feel like as we are finishing up our tostones and as we're continuing to talk, if folks feel like they want to unmute themselves for a sec and talk a little bit about like what, you know, meals they might be thinking about making as we look forward to the holidays, and like what are favorite family dishes that folks are making, and like how do folks' mixed identities intersect on the table. Like maybe we could just take a couple minutes and talk about that. And like maybe Chef Adrian and Kiana, y'all can start us off.
Absolutely. I love the polarity that comes with being someone that identifies in the mixed space, because I get to live multiple truths every day. And that gives me the freedom to be multidimensional at the same time. It's not black and white, and it never will be for me. And that's a truth that I love to honor. So Adrian, I think a great place for us to really start this off is, how do you integrate your native culture and cuisine in your day-to-day life with your own community outside of a Zoom kitchen of 31 people watching you cook?
Well, you know, honestly, I was taught being multicultural. So my father is Black, my mother is Panamanian. If we go back even further, her father was a Spaniard. My mom's mother, my grandmother, was from an indigenous tribe that they live on the border of Panama and South America. So right, literally like right on that border. So she comes from a tribe from there. My father's mother, she was part Indian, coming from the Virginia Commonwealth. So we were taught to respect and appreciate all of our cultures. And honestly, I think it shows up in the way that I cook. You know, there's adobo seasoning, there's Sazon in my fried chicken. You know, it's just you find these ingredients, you find these pieces. Even the way I cook rice, it's the way that, you know, my mother taught me, where we toast the rice before you add the water and let it boil and let it cook up. You know, those traditions, they don't go away really ever. And they sort of find their way into your food and become a part of who you are and your cooking identity. So for me, they show up everywhere. And in terms of, you know, it's getting cold. So like I mentioned, there'll be chicken and rice, there'll be a pot of it. But even our chili, a lot of the flavorings that come from it, those flavorings come from my mom's culture and what she was comfortable cooking with and what she was familiar with. And then, like I said, you know, I'll definitely be trying to get her to do a pork strop of chicken and yuca soup as well.
And we want to open this up to anyone in the space right now who wants to share a family dish that their taste buds are like holding on for, because they know they get to have it in December and they know they get to have it during holiday season. As Chef Adrian plates and statues the eighth wonder of the world with his guacamole.
Well, I'll talk a little bit about, I wanted to go back to the US for Thanksgiving, and my flight got canceled due to COVID. So I'm going to be spending the holidays with my German mother, and like who grew up in an American culture but has been living in Germany for the longer part of her life, and a lot of my friends. And I am going to kind of have a mixture. So Germans have like Klöße, which is like kind of like dumplings a little bit, and they have Spätzle, which is like egg noodles, and they have all these amazing gravies, and they make duck, and they have obviously like a lot of spices and flavors that are just normal for, German culture. And I'll be eating that, but then I'll be mixing it with like mac and cheese and, like okra that I learned to make with my grandma who's from New Orleans. And, just kind of having, like some of the dishes that I really miss from my family in New Orleans, which is where my dad's family is from, and then mixing it with like my favorites from German food and just having like an all-rounder. Some people want to make lamb chops. Like it's just going to be a whole mixture. It's going to be delicious.
Yes, we make, I guess to share one of our family dishes that we're going to be making, I call it Dominican lasagna. It's pasta. It's called pastelón, and we make it with plantain. So it's a vegetarian substitute in our house. We make some okra as well, classic rice and beans, pretty much carb December. And if everyone can check out the screen and see Adrian's beautiful plantains and guacamole. And Adrian, as people are taking a little bit of time to reflect and think on the amazing dishes that they're going to be having these upcoming weeks, do you want to kick us off with our mojito and showing the ingredients that we're going to bring with today?
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to hear more about the dishes, so hopefully some folks want to share because that sounds amazing.
Ariel, ready to share.
I can share really quickly.
Yeah.
We in my family, so it's actually kind of funny because I'm mixed, half Polish and half Mexican. So Christmas Eve, I spend by my mom because my mom and my dad are divorced. And then Christmas Day, I spend by my dad. So we have a lot of Polish traditions that we do. Like we put money under our plate for Christmas. And I don't know why we do that, but we do that. And then we have like paper. We have like a little paper thing that we each take a bite of and we each break off going by age around the table, just Polish thing. And then we leave a plate out for like a guest. Like we literally leave a plate and a chair out for a guest that could come by. I don't know why we do that either. These are really good questions in reflection that I should probably ask someone. And we have like turkey and sometimes stuffing, but we also have pierogies. And I love pierogies. So we have that. And we have kolaczki, which is like a Polish pastry, which is really good. And then at my dad's, we have carnitas and menudo, and we have guacamole and rice and beans. And oh, it's so good. It's just so good. And we make tacos. And then we usually have, everyone has like a Corona with that, like in the morning. I don't know. It's just a thing. And so it'll be really nice to have all of that today. Yeah.
We eat Chinese food and watch James Bond movies, so no one should knock your Corona tradition. If that's tradition, that's tradition.
Yeah, speaking of Chinese food, so what my family does every Thanksgiving is we usually eat everything with sticky rice. They're originally from Thailand, and I don't know why, but like my family's been in the US like for a while now, but my grandma still like needs her sticky rice. And then there's I live in Cleveland, so there's like a dim sum place that's like pretty near our house, and for some reason it's like always open during Thanksgiving. So that's and Christmas too, and that's something that we always kind of like do. And afterwards, there's this place that does like Hong Kong egg waffles, and those are a big tradition too. And they have like tea too, but it's not like bubble tea. It's more like the authentic kind of like milk tea, and it's like really good. Yeah, it's awesome. I really like dim sum. I miss it so much because like it's that satisfaction of like you see like the auntie that pushes like the cart and just being able to grab like whatever you want, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, I also grew up eating
hungry
on weekends. I just found out there's a place on the Upper West Side that has it. There's this place called Jing Fong that I thought was just in Chinatown, and now there's one on the Upper West Side, and I can go grab it. It's not the same as the carts, but I really love it.
Yeah, nothing beats the carts.
I feel like we just got a little travel of the world on Zoom. And Adrian, we are on our third lap of this incredible dish that we are preparing for ourselves, for date night, for our community, and for holiday season. So take it away.
Yeah. All right, let's do it so we can eat. This is the last thing keeping us from eating. So you may have seen me while everyone was talking, you may have seen me pluck out 10 fresh mint leaves. So there may be 12 in here. I may have miscounted by a couple, but you want at least 10 fresh mint leaves in the bottom of your glass. And then we're going to add some lime juice and some simple syrup to this. Now, I do not, you can totally use white sugar or turbinado sugar or demerara sugar if you have it, but this is where simple syrup comes in handy, and simple syrup is really easy to make. So this is a pineapple simple syrup that I made. It's equal parts water and sugar, and then I threw in some fresh pineapple. Actually, I used one of these cans because I had some left, and I let that cook and kept stirring it until all the sugar was dissolved. Once you let that cool, you can put it in a container that you can seal and put in the refrigerator, and you've got fresh simple syrup that will last you a couple of months. For a mojito, you want to use simple syrup. So I'm actually going to pour in the equivalent of 2 tablespoons here. And this is perfect because it is pineapple flavored, and we're making a pineapple fojito. I've got my mint there. Now, we've got a half a lime, but one of the things I can tell you is if you decide you like a cocktail and you want to make it a lot, go ahead and just squeeze up some fresh lime juice. I use my juicer, and I keep a container in the refrigerator. You can see this from September, but it's in an airtight container, so it's still fresh. And I'm going to squeeze in 2 squeezes is the equivalent of 2 tablespoons there. So I've got lime juice, I've got mint, and I've got simple syrup. And I'm going to take my muddler and I'm going to push and twist. Everybody thinks that muddling is just smashing down on the mint. That's not it. You got to push and you got to twist. What we're doing is breaking the mint leaves so that their oil releases into the cup and into our cocktail. So we want to break those up. About 30 seconds to a minute is sufficient. And we're left with that. So this is the base of our cocktail. So I'm going to add some crushed ice to this. It's going to get loud for a second. So I like to fill it up about halfway. And then I'm going to take my crushed pineapple. This is just an added benefit. If you want, you can tuck this under the ice and it's totally okay too. I'm just going to take a small spoonful. I'm not using a lot here, just a small spoonful. I'm going to push that down in there. I'm going to grab my muddle stick again. And I'm going to mix all that together. So get back in the pool. There we go. All right. So now I've got a bed of ice. I've got mint. I've got pineapple. I've got my simple syrup and my lime juice. Now, if you are making a fojito, if you use regular ginger ale, it's totally fine. I love ginger ale. It's probably my favorite soda. However, when you mix it with all these ice and the other flavors, you kind of lose some of that flavor of the ginger ale. So Canada Dry came out with a bold. Use the strongest ginger ale you can find. But at this point, we will
And Adrian, there's just beautiful conversation happening in the chat. And just with honoring grandma's recipes. And I know from what you've been sharing with us that you honor your mother and her recipes. Would you say that she's your inspiration when you're cooking in the kitchen?
Yes, I would. So every time I cook, every time we do one of these classes, she goes with me. So underneath my chef's coat, is actually a t-shirt that I wear that has a picture of me and my mom in native Panamanian clothing. So this was me at age 4. I had just come back from visiting Panama for the first time. My grandmother had passed away. And a friend of our family's who's like an uncle to me said, well, we should take pictures and preserve these moments since you have your traditional garments. And so he did a shoot for our family. So I just stuck it on the t-shirt, just made a quick little cheap t-shirt. But so especially for this class, she goes with me. So she's here. She's a part of the class as well.
And let's say we want to.
So Kiana, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. I see you're ready to sip on your fojito. Let's see. We want to drizzle on some real ginger. That sounds delicious.
Always good. And I would say I was going to say I left this space here because if you wanted to make this the traditional version, you can just fill it up to your line of choice here. This one, or this one with your favorite rum. This goes really good with a coconut rum. Then you get this sort of tropical vibe with your mojito. But you totally just fill that up with a little rum and you got the real thing.
Yes. And
all right, so let's put these together. Let's do this. There we go. Somebody take a screenshot of that because that's a snack.
Everybody show yours, like if you want to, just like no matter what it looks like. Ariel, hold up yours. Peyton, maybe you could show us yours. Like let's all show each other our food. I want to just see like what all the different versions are because obviously everyone makes it different. But this would also be a wonderful like a gallery screenshot of everybody holding in their food.
And as everyone begins.
Yes, Sophia.
Yes.
Yes, Adam and Jasmine. Yes, Ariel. Yes. Yes, Kiesha, I see you. I hope I said your name right. Please come off mute, unmute yourself and correct me if I did it wrong. Brooke, thank you. Oh, yes.
Oh, Adam and Jasmine, you're like, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to eat this now. This looks incredible.
Oh my God. Kiesha, what does it taste like? I see you're already eating. Like this is
it's amazing. So good. Thank you so much, guys. Oh my gosh, this is wonderful.
Oh, awesome. For those like Edward, I'm going to call you out. For those that might have are here, not sure if y'all have been cooking or not, what's it been like for y'all to just watch and learn? I think this is a good time for us for everybody who wants to just take themselves off of mute and for us to just process and eat together and just enjoy it. And shout out to Chef Adrian and his wife who filmed everything. She's amazing. And just yeah, I mean, we can just kind of process and chill and eat and talk about what you learned. Yeah, for anyone who wants to, open invitation.
And we rated R stuff too. We don't need to keep it PG. Fun fact for you, pineapple juice makes all your sexual juices taste sweet and delicious as well. So I know some of you mentioned this for date night. So keep that one in the back of your mind as well. We have no filters here. We are here to just learn from all of you as well.
What we can do actually is just skip right to the whiteboard. And while we're cooking and stuff like that, I feel like it would be awesome. What we usually do after our breakout rooms is that we share what we've learned, what new ideas we've had, what new recipes we might want to make or what meals we might want to make based on the conversation today. So yeah, exactly. Kiana, how can we learn more about what you do and follow you? Awesome. So maybe Kiana, we we can have a little Q&A with you and hear about like how you started Isle Mine and like why you do what you do. And that would be awesome.
Beautiful. Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Also, just going to welcome, sorry to interrupt you, I'm just going to welcome Samantha, who just joined us. She uses she, her pronouns. So also, just acknowledging someone joined us right now. So actually you joined us at a great time. We get to hear from Kiana.
And I was actually laid off in April. I was working in the restaurant tech space, and my company went from 1,500 to 700 on one Zoom call. And I was looking around, and there was
not. 10,
so
20,
much.
30, 40. Now you count each of those. I'm not doing that.
Beautiful. There was, your photo's amazing, by the way. I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. So fierce, so fierce. And in the beginning of COVID, I was just seeing this need for combating isolation and combating loneliness in a time where there's just so much distraction and just a lack of meaningful interaction in comparison to that. And I have been in hospitality for about 10 years now, and going back to my true native roots, when my mom immigrated to the United States, she got a job as a chef at a preschool because it came with the privilege of free childcare for me. She is a smart, genius woman, and that is why I honored her in my moment of silence. And from there, I went into work with her every morning at 6, 7 a.m. and saw her prepping lunch for 130 students, not speaking a word of English. And that was my quality time with her, because she was always working these very long days, and she's a single mother. So food has always been connection. Food has always been love and quality and magic. So, I went into that deep reflection during COVID, just because so much of canceling out the noise was able to happen. And I said, I want to do this for others. If I have this story, there has to be so many more out there on history, on family tradition, on native roots, and true food appropriation. We all don't need to be placed in this box of ethnic, of diversity, because we are more than that. We are so rich in tradition, in history, in our strength. And I wanted to spotlight that. And I wanted to bring a new definition to that. So that's what really nurtured the baby of Isle Mine. And we have been able to truly see that in a conscious food space, people can connect, people can relate, people can just tell themselves that I deserve an hour of turning off. I deserve to cook myself a meal because it's been a shitty day, or because it's been an amazing day, and I want to honor myself and the inner goddess and that energy inside of me. So coming together and seeing this, especially in the collaboration with the mixed space, it's the magic of what we are creating and what we're sharing, and seeing it in the chat with local gems in Chinatown that are the treasures for holiday season. Adrian sharing, a photo of his mom on his chest. Like, those are things that are just so beautiful. So for my very long-winded answer of my story, and to always keep up with what Isle Mine is doing, and you can follow us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, all under the username of Isle Mine. And we do beautiful just get-togethers of either date night, we host wine and cheese nights, beer and bites tastings, where we always focus on working with minority-owned breweries and wine producers as well, because not only do we want to have a beautiful 45, 90-minute, 2-hour session, we want to offer those resources. So I know I passed along to the Mixed Space team, which you all will have access to, different Latin American chefs for you all to follow and find recipes that you could potentially make at home. And trust me, I'm a person, when I don't have ingredients, I'm like, okay, screw it. We're just going to see how it tastes. Never see that intimidation of, oh gosh, I've never even heard of that ingredient, like plantain, WTF is that? It can always be done. It can always be done. So again, thank you all so much for embracing us and welcoming us to this community.
I just want to point out, if you can see my screen, you notice that the plantains keep disappearing, and that is because that is my camera person's payment. So they literally have been disappearing one by one while Kiana was talking. So hopefully you got a screenshot or a picture before that happened.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're so good. I'm just like the guac, everything is so delicious. The drink is so good. I can't wait to share this with my friends. And they're gonna be like, where did you, like, what even is this? Like, what part of the world eats this food? And I'll go back into the whole explanation of everything that I learned today.
I just wanted to say thank you. This was lovely. Everything was delicious, and we'll definitely want to be a part of future ones. So thank you.
Yay. Thank you, Adam and Jasmine.
Yeah, and I am Persian and French. So that is my mixed background. Yeah. So
Cool.
nice to find another mixed community. I like it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Bye.
Bye. Actually, this is a great time while everyone was just waving. We love to do screenshots of everyone who comes to our meetup if you want to be part of them, because we just love seeing everyone's face and everyone like smiling and waving. So at this time, this is our like meetup selfie moment. Like fix your curls, fix yourself, and just like give us a big smile. Yeah, hold up a tostones, hold up your drink. Hania, I see you. And we're just gonna take some screenshots of all of you amazing people. Thank you, Brandon.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Is there anything you want to share, Hania? Like, where are you located right now?
I'm in Ponsonby, Canada. And well, I'm of Polish background, and I could relate to the Polish Christmas Eve dinner that our friend shared. However, my husband's from Eastern Canada, and one happy is having cod fish cakes before we went to the candlelight service where my mother-in-law played the organ on Christmas Eve.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing.
And peace and love and God bless to you all.
Thank you. Right back at you.
Actually, Lily, if you don't mind, I would love to talk about folks who want to possibly talk further on food and culture. Just a really quick little thing that the Mixed Space does is that we are now trying to do live 2.0s where we go live on Instagram and we kind of just continue this conversation. So if anyone here, including, our amazing guests, Kiana and Chef Adrian, if anyone is interested in just like a very casual kind of 2.0 of this meetup, if you will, like very like we just hop on Instagram and we talk about food and we talk about our lives and we're kind of just, we check in. If anyone would be interested in having that conversation on Instagram, just send a quick DM to me in the chat or just drop it in the chat to everyone. We would absolutely love to continue this conversation. There's so many good shares happening right now and so much magic was happening in the chat. So drop your Instagram tag if you have it. Everyone also just drop your socials right now, including Kiana and Chef, so we can get all of that information and we'll follow up and we would just love to have this beautiful magic continued. So drop your kind of ads in the chat and let us know if you'd be interested in talking about food further. And once again, just thank you everyone so much to joining us. This is actually, fun fact, the first time I've ever had this. Like, I'm Mexican and I've never had I've never had this before or tostones, and they're really good. I'm really proud of myself. So thank you to our amazing speakers and featured people here, because this is incredible and I made it and I'm feeling like really proud of myself. So it's pretty great.
I just wanted to say a huge thank you as well to everybody involved, to everyone organising, to Chef Adrian, to Kiana, to Lily, to Ariel. Thank you. My mix is British Vietnamese, and I really loved listening to everyone's Christmas meal stories. But one thing I wanted to share is that my grandma, who taught me to cook a lot of Vietnamese dishes, she was always saying the direct translation she would ask is con biết ăn không, which means, do you know how to eat this? And there's no direct translation for, do you like this food? Do you not like this food? And I thought it was a really nice thing that I learned from this meetup, is that I also ate lots of foods today that I've never had before. And it's not like one of those things where, oh, I don't like plantain, because you don't know if you haven't had it before. So I thought that was a really nice thing to share, and another reason why a mixture of cultures is so special in terms of language and food. So yeah, and also I've never been in a room with this many mixed identities before. So thank you for having me along.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing to have all of you here. Well, I also take this opportunity to plug our January meetup. So we have a meetup essentially almost on the first Saturday of every month, and the next one is Saturday, January 9th. And we'll be reflecting on the year that passed, and we'll be reflecting on the year to come, and we'll share experiences and thoughts. And it's going to be a meetup that's focused on mental health, and we're going to have folks there to guide us through group activities and ground and vision of where we're going.
Okay, actually, I have a question. This just came into my mind. Hypothetically speaking, like if I were to make this right now and then want to like have some tomorrow, how do you eat this the next day? Can you heat this up? Is it a microwave thing? Do you refry it for a second? How do I eat this tomorrow?
Refry it in a little bit of oil the same way you did, just to bring it back up to temperature. I don't recommend microwaving because they'll turn gummy. But the guacamole, just put in an airtight container, throw it in the fridge, and that'll last you a couple weeks. But the tostones, just a little bit of oil, or even throw them in the oven. Just avoid the microwave.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other last reflections that anyone wants to share? Yeah, anything anyone's feeling, any words that maybe stuck out with anyone, or anything that someone learned today that they might want to share? I might also just start randomly calling y'all out, like, Samin, I just saw you smile. If you want to, I would love to hear from you, just like Kirsha, who else? Elena. Yeah, anybody else? Okay, well, I'm also just going to add a little sentence about why this meetup was so important to us at the Mixed Space. It's just because it's the holidays and we're quarantining. And I mean, I don't know what, like where everyone's at with politics and social justice, et cetera. But for me, obviously, social justice is a big part of my life. And I think that food justice and culture and underrepresentation of that and colonizing food and like how food migration, how food has traveled around the world historically and how it it grows us when we eat it, and how we grow food literally are all a big part of the conversation that I have with myself on a daily basis when I go grocery shopping, when I talk to my friends, when I cook with my family, when I watch television, and so it was really important to us to kind of have an opportunity to talk with folks who are active in that space and who have a lot of knowledge, like Kiana and Chef Adrian certainly do, and to also just foster a deeper understanding and cultivate that perspective of activism as it pertains to the way that we nourish ourselves. And we had this really wonderful meetup in
Meadows. Wrap up the merry and save big. How Bell makes the holidays better. Get on Canada's.
Yep, perfect. Hi, Darvette. Nice to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Feel free to unmute yourself and share if you do want to say anything. But no, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, hi. Sorry, I just ran into the door. Oh my gosh.
It's so good to have you. I'm glad you ended up joining. That's so awesome.
Thanks. Thank you for inviting me. Think I missed a lot.
Yeah, well, who wants to summarize what this meetup was? Who from the community wants to summarize what this meetup was for Darvette real quick?
Oh, everyone looks so.
Benjamin, I know you could do it. You're on my screen right now, so I can see you. Well, just so you guys know, the recording will be available on YouTube for folks to watch and come back to and share with other people who weren't able to come. Darvette, also for you, you'll be able to rewatch it and follow along with all of us and hear all the stories and everything. So Kiana, at this point, I'm just going to hand it over to you and let you say goodbye. And then we can all take ourselves off mute and just wave goodbye.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, and welcome, Darvette. I will try to summarize and give you a little bit introduction to what we did. Thank you all for just this experience of humanity, connection, and providing affirmation that we are all connected, because the chat spoke to that. And we go through so many of the same things, and life isn't always easy and happy because it isn't supposed to be. The struggles shape us into who we are and how we respond to the struggles and how we use them to build resilience and compassion and love to let others know that we're okay. We can do that with food. We can do that with beverage. And sometimes the food and the beverage and even washing the food dish and washing those dishes, it sends that message to others. So we just wanted to share that with you all and hold that polarity in your identities, in your experience with food and beverage as well. So thank you all for this and for accepting us into your space and for allowing us to be part of your story. We're so grateful. I'm gonna pass the word.
All right, well, this is it. We're going to say goodbye. Thank all of you so much. Feel free to take yourself on mute and say goodbye to the group at large. And all right. Well, goodbye. Thank you.